Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mafia Memoirs. My name's Jody Sedrick,
I'm Rod Puzey.
and we are the ownership team of RotaFest and Zenware. And as you guys know, every Thursday we do Mafia Memoirs. It's a Facebook Live and podcast show that we interview the movers and shakers, the vendors, sponsors of the detailing industry. So we're always excited to and look forward to this conversation. And this week we have Art Baca from Art of Detail joining us today. So in just a few minutes, we will, as soon as he joins us, we will bring him on and have a great discussion. So a lot of things going on around here. Spring is finally here, so woohoo! We're feeling good. And hopefully in your neck of the woods, things are going very well. I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Ryan McGowan. I had a great discussion with him earlier in the week, and he's excited to be moving forward into the spring season and out of the winter so that he can start full detailing. And there's Art. So let me see if I can bring Art on board. So give me just a second while I zoom
Chris
in.
Wilma. Hello, Chris Wilma.
So good morning, Chris. And we will add Art.
Off a romper room, and I see Chris, and I see Art Baca. If you're old enough to remember romper room,
There we go.
Probably got a little bit of this going on. Hello, Art.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, and we can see you.
Awesome, cool. I'm gonna actually
How are you today?
put on this. I'm doing good. I'm gonna put on this headset while I'm staring at you guys, and you guys look good, by the way. So it's good to be here.
well, like Rod always says, he says, we make this look good. So you got to show us your shirt. You stood up, and we just got a little taste of your shirt.
Okay, let me plug this in.
That sounds really bad. I don't want to taste
Boy,
the
he
shirt.
stood up, and I was like, what? I wanted to see the decal on his shirt. So.
Oh yeah, it's
there
pretty
you
cool.
go.
I've got a really great printer out here. They're called Son of a Stitch Embroidery, and it's not screen printed. It's actually printed by a computer.
Right.
On these shirts, what I'll do is I'll actually have this here hanging.
Oh, that's
And they're really good
awesome.
quality.
Nice.
Yeah, they're really good quality. It's front and back. And I've got of course, the IDA logo on the sleeves and the double black logo on the other sleeve here. But yeah, it's really good quality shirts. I like them. And I even sell them in my shop. I sell everything. I'll sell you anything.
Excellent. So 7213
Yeah.
Potomac, Boise, Idaho, 83704. Large, medium. Nice. Love it.
I got you.
Who was the company again? Let's give them a shout out because those are awesome shirts.
Yeah, it's called Son of a Stitch Embroidery.
Nice.
One of my actual clients, his name's Mark Manning, owns that company, and he does a lot of shirts for some of the events here in town. And I like his quality, and he could take a picture, like he can take your picture and put it on a shirt, and it looks awesome. So
That's
good
awesome.
stuff. I love it.
There's probably some kind of regulation about putting my picture on a shirt. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, well, maybe if it has a target on it.
Yeah, target around a red slash through it or something.
We could make that happen, and I can sell those.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So Art, tell us basically what is it your company specializes in? What do you do? What is your thing? And
How'd you get started?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of a cool story how I got started. What I did, I've always been into detailing. I worked at some body shops here in town. The last one I worked on was a custom body shop where we do frame off restorations. My favorite part of it was always polishing, just making the finished product, making something look great. And especially with black, I love doing black. A lot of detailers don't like doing black vehicles. I love them. And the reason I like doing them is because they're unforgiving. You can see everything you're doing with black, and to me, it just makes it easier, to be able to enhance a paint job. And so, the way I got started was it was born out of necessity. In all honesty, So back in 2014, my ex-wife, the mother of my two daughters, I have two beautiful daughters who I love dearly. She was diagnosed with cancer in January of 2014, and
Oh,
she passed
wow.
away in March of, yeah, and she passed away on St. Patrick's Day in March of 2014. So it was very quick. And I was working, you know, a job at a barricade company, putting up road barricades, which was fun to me. That was it was a good workout and it was fun. Um, but I was working, I'd work a lot of hours there, and then I'd work at the body shop. So I was looking at my kids, and I said, they need me. They need me in their life. I'm their only surviving parent. They need their father in their life. They need that structure. And so for about a year, I kind of started devising different business plans, thinking of different things that I wanted to do, saying I've got to do something that's going to allow me more time with my family and allow me the freedom to be able to just take off when I need to. And so
Wow.
I had about three different ideas going on, and my oldest daughter, Kalia, she was, I believe, 14 at the time. She was in the kitchen, and I said, "Hey, listen, this is what I want to do, and I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it." I like showed her like three different plans that I had, and she just looked at me. She says, "Detailing, Dad. Just do detailing." Okay, so the next day, I quit my job. Like I did. I walked into my job,
Wow.
not the body
Wow.
shop one, but I walked into my full-time job. I handed in all my stuff, and I said, I quit. Well, you can't quit. I'm like, yes, I can. And so I quit the job. I went out and bought all my supplies. I bought, a flex polisher. I bought, you know, you know, compounds, polishes, waxes. I bought everything I needed. So this is crazy. And I don't recommend this to people, but this is what I did. I literally had $1,000 to my name. Like that's it. All I had was $1,000 in my bank account. I spent $800, actually close to 900, like 890 something. I spent like close to $900 on all my supplies. I'm sitting here with $100, and I'm like, now what? What do I do now? Like I have $100 left, and I just quit my job. I got a check coming next week, but I just quit my job. And I was working part time at the body shop, so I said, well, that might sustain me for a little bit. And I just went for it, man. I really just went for it and decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this work. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't. I was like, wow. What do I do now? So I went to a local supply shop here in town, and I walked in and I said, hey, listen, I opened my detail company, and of course, starting out, I'm a mobile detailer because that's all I knew. Like mobile detailing, that's a big thing. And so I started out in the trunk of my 2002 Grand Prix. Like
Wow.
I fit everything into the trunk and the back seat of that Grand Prix. And I said, now what? So I went to the side. I said, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I charge? And they gave me, honestly, like I got the worst advice ever. They told me, call around, see what everybody else is charging, and do the same. Well, it makes sense at that. Okay, well, yeah,
Yeah.
competitiveness, right? Be competitive. And so I did. I started calling around, calling places. Hey, I was making up cars. I have a 2013 Camaro that's black, and how much for a detail? And I was getting these prices over the phone, like, oh, like $60, $80,
Oh.
and
Oh.
everybody was charging like between $60 to $90 for like full detail. That's including interior,
Wow.
exterior, engine bay, everything. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what I charge, right? So I based my prices off that for paint correction. Um, and I use that term loosely. Paint correction is kind of one of those things where, it is what it is. I prefer, Justin Labato, uh, and Chris Parker, those guys use the term paint enhancement, and that's a great term to use because you're enhancing paint.
Yeah.
So like paint correction out here, about $150 to $200, and that's
Wow.
what I started charging. So I go out, I make a I go out and I make I'm reading Ivan Price's comment. It says, "Where are them car washers at now?" It's funny. But anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, I end up charging these prices, right? And I'm gonna take a drink of my coffee here, and
Oh, go for it.
I'm charging 60 to $90 for full details. and I'm charging $180 for paint correction. Now, paint correction, I was taking, goodness, 3 days to do a paint correction,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and really, really striving for perfection because that's what I felt the market wanted, right? Oh, it's got to be perfect, man. That was my thing. Like, it's got to be perfect, you know, and I did that for a few years, man. And I didn't do those prices for a few years, but I always strove for perfection. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. What ends up happening is I'm in this. This is July of 2015 is when I started my business. July 19th of 2015. I didn't even have a name. Like I didn't even know like what do I call it, you know? And I had all these weird names. I sat down with my friend Davy, and like literally we'd be up at 2 in the morning. Oh, let's call it Pristine Auto Detailing, and I'm like, no, or let's call it this, and we come up with a cool name, and then we look it up, and somebody already had it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, great, you know. So I was talking to a friend of mine named Greg, and he says, "You come up with the name of your business yet?" And I said, "Nah, man." He says, "Well, what's your name?" I said, "Art." He says, "Art of Detail." I'm like, "Dude, that's genius, bro." Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even think about that, right? And so that's how I came up with the name Art of Detail. I started, you know, doing a little bit of marketing. I hit all the Facebook sites, you know, the garage sale sites, the little things like that. Um, Started like trying to hand out flyers at you know at places. Got my first customer. I did her car, and so I ended up getting a few customers. I was charging these really rock bottom prices, and I ended up 6 months down the road, I'm broke, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, man, you know this isn't working, man. This is I just created basically a job for myself. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I could go to McDonald's and make more money, honestly, and take less risk, not have to pay all these taxes. I not have to do all this stuff. I sat there. I was so frustrated, man. I was like, goodness, what do I do? You know, and you know, and to give credit where it's due, man. This guy here, Ivan Price, that's on this, that's saying like banging shout out, keep up the good work and fight. You know, he was honestly kind of a big part of getting my name out there as well. You know, he knew I was making waves. He knew that I was doing things that were not like anybody else, and he was talking about it, and he really helped me out in that sense. And a lot of people did. You know, there's a lot of people that are even on this call right here that have been my customers that have helped me out. So I give credit where it's due, man. My customers, the people that come to me, those are the people that built my business. Those are the people that I give credit to. You know, and I see, and I'm going to kind of dive off the topic a little bit here, but I see a lot of detailers out there. That are complaining about their customer. Customer says this, or they
Yeah.
put up the customer says memes, and I hate that, man.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I love my customers, man.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what they say. If they call me and say how much for a detail, that's because they don't know any better. And it's
Yeah.
my job at that point. It's my ethical responsibility at that point to be able to educate that person on, hey, ask qualifying questions. What kind of vehicle do you have? What do you consider a detail? Wash and wax, or you got some swirls you want removed? Why don't we do this? Let's set a consultation. Why don't you come in? Let me check out your car, and then we can sit down. We can talk, and we can come up with a solution for you. And so that to me, when you complain, the reason you have customers complaining about you is because you complain about your customers, and that's the
Yes.
bottom line. You're
Yeah.
getting 2-star, 3-star reviews. You're getting people, bashing you and posting bad things or saying bad things about you. It's because you say bad things about them, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that, man. Your customers are your bloodline. They are the people that keep you going, and you should love them. And that's totally kind of off my subject, but it's something that bothers me a lot and something I see happen frequently. I just honestly, man, when I see detailers post stuff like that, I just delete them. I don't want to see that, man. I choose to see the light and the positivity in this world, and that's what I want to surround myself with. I mean, I lived in a dark place. I was homeless for 2 years. I lived in a dark place for a long time. I battled some addictions in my life and overcame that. And I realized that it's the people that I surround myself with that matter. Who you choose to associate with, the people
Yeah.
that you choose to surround yourself with matter. And, you become like them. There's the rule of six. If you hang out with five, uh, smart people, you're going to be the sixth one. You hang out with five
Well,
people who are successful at making it, you're going to be the sixth one.
yeah. That's amazing.
Um,
I love that story, and your point about loving your customers is so critical because there's so many times where I see on Instagram or I see on Facebook where a lot of times they don't even give the customer's name, but yet they're still talking about it. Don't even talk about that. Talk about your customers in a positive way. Never bring the negative into it, because you're going to attract the negative response.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, it's not all about you, man. A lot of people think, I'm going to open it. It's about me. It's not about me, man. It's about your customer. It's about providing a solution, solving a problem that needs to be solved, and that's what we do, as business owners. You solve a problem. Zenware solves, RoadFS solves a problem for us detailers. There's a lot of us detailers that solve problems for other people, right? We're not just car washers.
Right.
Yeah. The thing is,
you have. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Art. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm just saying, our car washers are a necessary part of the industry. Absolutely, man. You have to have the guys out there that are going to go out there and maintain your vehicle for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't bash those guys either, But, when a customer's, there's a separation, there's a line there between a car wash and a detail. And, it's up to us to educate that person and let people know that what us detailers solve is a whole different problem than what a car washer would solve. And we are both necessary. We are both necessary in the industry. And don't bash the car washers out there, man. I don't like when the car washers call themselves detailers, because it gives a really, there's a thin line there of the explanation between what a detail and a car wash is. But I do like when they say, mobile car washing. That's awesome, because you're giving that person the exact thing that you provide. The problem that you solve is that you're going to wash their car, you're going to maintain it, you're going to keep it free from debris. And then there's the guys like us out there that are the detailers that are going to get every little nook and cranny. We're going to polish, we're going to work on the swirls, the scratches, we're going to do long-term protection. So, you asked earlier, where's my focus at? My focus is long-term protection for customers. I want to solve the problem of the person out there that's sitting there for 8 hours washing and waxing their vehicle. They're using paste wax, and they're sitting out there for hours, and they just can't get it all out, and they're taking all that time to get their vehicle clean and looking nice and fresh, when I can provide a solution for you that would take you 20 minutes to wash your vehicle and it look like it just came out of my shop. And that's long-term protection for your vehicle with ceramic coatings. That's the problem I solve, is people's time. What is your time worth to you? Mm-hmm. Do you want to be outside washing and waxing and getting your car prepped for a car show for 6 to 8 hours? Or would you rather take 30 minutes doing that and spend the rest of the time with the things that are important to you, which is your family, your loved ones, your friends, or even, if that's not what you value the most, going out and doing something, watching a movie, going out and hanging out, doing something, going fishing. I have an employee that loves fishing, man. And I close down on weekends. Why? Because it's what's important to him, man. I'll make him work on weekends. It's what's important to me is family, and autonomy, and that freedom to do what I want to do. But you can't do that charging $60 to $80.
Yeah, no.
No, and one of the things I wanted to talk about too is, I watch stuff on social media and I see people making comments, and it's like, you don't need to talk about how good you are. If you're focused on telling everybody how great you are and talking about it, that's your words are worthless. It's your reputation. It's what you've done. It's what your customers say about you. And when you get, to me, the highest compliment is not somebody coming out on social media and saying, yeah, that's right, man, Rod's great. It's when a customer sends you their friend. Hey, my mother-in-law needs this, or my friend needs this. We had a guy today that sent me an email, and he's been a very long-term customer. He was one of the people that helped us actually beta test some of our software. And he said, hey, this is a friend of mine, and I think she really needs your software. It's helped me, and I think it will help her. That is the highest compliment to me, is when someone refers somebody that they know. It's not just as some dude. It's like their friend. They're willing to give their friends to you and put their care in your hands. That is when it's awesome, because you don't have to go out there and yak about how great you are. Your customers do it for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how you build your business, honestly. And that's how, I don't do hardly any advertising. I do some. My advertising is the work that we do here. When a person leaves here and they go to a gas station, their cars look, and somebody talks to them, I have a rule here that every customer that comes through our door gets business cards put on their dash. We fan them out like a little fan. We get like a little, we actually put a little gift there for them, thank you notes, things like that. You know, and it just shows that we really care. Number one, we give them a thank you note that's personalized to them, and shows that we care about them. Thank you. You know, you supported a small family-owned business, you know, and it's because of you that we thrive, and thank you for that. You know, and then we give them some business cards because they are going to tell other people, and they are going to, you know, represent your company by their satisfaction, right? So high satisfaction is important, man. Going through checklists, making sure things are done right, and doing what they paid for, you know, getting them what they paid for. You know, that's important. That's how I built my business. That's how most of us build our businesses, is just word of mouth, you know, and you know, sometimes word of mouth can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think it's a really big thing. Yeah, it's like I keep thinking about, you know, you look at people like the Parkers. I look at what you do, and they let their work speak for themselves. And I keep thinking about my son when he was a freshman. He was actually straddling varsity and JV, and he was a little disappointed that he wasn't all just only on varsity. And I said, look, son, you need to buckle down and just play so that you cannot be ignored. Let your play be the voice. You don't have to talk about how good you are. Let your play on the court, your attitude, your sportsmanship, make it so they can't not put you on the varsity team. And within 3 games, he was full-time varsity. And I think that's
awesome.
I think that's a very valuable lesson for business owners. It's like Levi said, Levi Gates, he said, look, detailers, quit marketing to detailers. Market to your customers, right? Show what you're doing for your customers, and you will attract the business that you want and the customers that you want, and your business will grow.
That's true. You know, when you start to talk about things like that with your son and the whole JV and varsity thing, you know, that's something that he's going to take with him, you know, throughout his life. It's a lesson that he learned throughout his life. I've seen a few, and I've struggled with this as well with employees. You know, people come in and they expect a paycheck. They expect, you know, I'm owed a paycheck. I'm owed this because, you know, I just showed up. You know, don't just show up to work, man. Don't, you know, and if you own a business, and this goes for anybody. This goes for employees. This goes for his business owner. This goes for people in school, whatever. You know, what you told him is like, make them pay attention to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's the value that you bring to the marketplace as a detailer that speaks volumes. What value are you bringing? What problem are you solving that's bringing value to that customer? Same thing with as being an employee. What value are you bringing to that company so that company doesn't say, oh, well, we don't really need you around.
Yeah.
You know, we'll just bring you in when we need you, you know, or you know, when we have a need for you. You want that company to say, hey, you know what, this person's a valuable asset to my company. They're bringing something, you know, they're causing my company to prosper.
Yeah,
and so when you're an employee, you have to bring that value. You have to, like you told your son, make them pay attention to you, make them fear losing you.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'll be honest with you, if an employer does not fear losing you, you're not valuable. And that's harsh, but it's a reality.
No, it's true.
And it's the same thing with our industry, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with our businesses. If we're not valuable, we're not needed, you know? And same thing with everything in life. Be of value to the things that are important to you. Know what your core values are. You know, what's important, what is the number one most important thing to you, and base everything off of that. You know, family is important to me. I don't sit here and work 12, 16-hour days, man. I don't work 7 days a week. I used to.
Yeah.
You know, I used to sit there, you know, when I first started going broke for the first 6 months of my career, it was me just the hustle, the grind, right? And that's what I felt had to be important to me. But when I really sat down, I bought Renny's book, you know, How to Start a Home-Based Detailing Business. I read that book. I watched a webinar that he did, and it just made a lot of sense. You know, he said 3 words in there. He said, make yourself famous. I wrote those words down. He has this big webinar, right? I mean, it's like an hour long, and he's like just blasting value. And I'm like, man, this guy's, I didn't know who he was. you know, I didn't pay attention to anybody out there, but I ran across this webinar. He said those three words. He talked about knowing your worth, knowing your value. I sat here and I listened to this. I was on the couch at home because I didn't have any work, obviously. And my wife's sitting there, April, and and when it's finished, I looked at her. I said, "Did you hear that?" She goes, "I've been telling you this the whole time, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And she's like, "I've been telling you this. You need to raise your prices. You're not like everybody else out there. You're worth more." And I said, "I'm going to call him up." So I called him up, and he puts me on the phone. This is a valuable lesson too. Let me let you talk to Diane because she's the mastermind behind my business. And I wasn't listening to my wife, right? So kind of the moral of the story is like sometimes we got to listen to our wives, you know, listen to the people around us that are seeing from the outside in and not from the inside out. And I talked to her and I asked her, what does he mean by those words? You know, she laid out a little plan for me and I followed it. I also bought a book. So I'm going broke, right? I'm online and I'm thinking, man, there's got to be something out there, a book I could read, somebody I can talk to. I ran across this book by accident called 6 Months to Six Figures. It's by Peter Voog. And I started laughing and I said, well, I went broke in 6 months. What do I got to lose? So I got this book, right? And I start reading it. And then I stopped and I said, wait, this isn't a book you read, man. This is a book you take actions on.
Yes.
You know, and I followed it to a T. And I followed what Diane told me to a T. And within 6 months, I went from making, in a 6 month period from July 2015 to December, I made $2,000 total, maybe at the most, but I was in the red big time, you know, because you got to remember, I'm paying insurance, I'm paying overhead, I'm paying all these things. I'm in the red big time. I'm broke. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go bankrupt here. I raised my prices, and it's crazy because when I raised my prices, it got rid of a lot of the people that would lowball me.
Yeah.
And I started getting the customer that would walk in. I'd give them a price. They wouldn't even ask for a price, you know. They just come in and I tell them what I do, and then they say, okay, cool, and here's my keys, and then I give them price later. Sometimes I do up front, but sometimes it was later. You know, how much did it cost you? $1,500. Okay, and they hand you their card, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I just asked for $1,500 for a freaking detail, and they paid it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm doing something right. You know, and so it's one of those things where I started out, you know, very humble beginnings in the trunk of my car. I ended up going into my garage at home because after the third car that I did, it was an SUV. I polished the whole side of this car, and I live in New Mexico, which is in Albuquerque, which is desert. And I was actually doing this car up in Rio Rancho, which is really desert. It's just kind of a little city on the side of us here. And a big gust of wind came and just blasted the car with sand. And I was like, oh my God, I got to start over. You know, and so at that point, I figured I got to be indoors with the type of detailing that we do. And I ended up in my garage. I outgrew my garage pretty quickly. And that was all by following Diane's advice. What I do is I go out to grocery store parking lots. I wouldn't go to car shows. I go to car shows, but that wasn't my focus. I would just talk to normal, everyday people with normal, everyday cars, right? I come up and I say, hey, you know, that is that your car? Yeah, cool. I love that car. It's cool. Here's my card. My name's Art Baca. I own Art of Detail. I would really love to work on your car. And a lot of times they start asking questions, and then right there you're getting quotes and estimates on the spot. After the first day I did this, I handed out 1,000 business cards. I talked to 1,000 people, and the only reason I came home was because I ran out of cards.
Wow.
Within a few weeks, my business starts growing. People start calling. People start coming through. Started hitting the car clubs here in town. Started talking to them, and I outgrew my garage pretty quickly. Ended up in a 1,200 square foot space, which I outgrew in 3 months, and now I've got total right now to this date, I've got almost 5,000 square feet.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, 4,500 square feet. And I've got a big shop with some bays next door. I bought a building next door to me, which is my office and my consultation area. So I separate, the shop from my consultation and business area. And what that allows is that doesn't allow distraction.
Yeah.
Right.
So these guys that are working, they don't need to be distracted. They need to be working on your vehicle, making sure they're focused on that. Over here, you can come and you can walk in, you can have some coffee, you can sit down, we can hang out, we can talk. But that's what we do, man. And that's what I did. And that's how I built my business, honestly. It's just word of mouth, just talking to people. And I still do that every day, man. I make it a goal to talk to at least 10 people a day. I go out and hand out cards. I talk to people. And it's a numbers game, so when those 3 words, make yourself famous, came through and I asked Diane about that, she said, it's not Hollywood famous. It's just that people need to know you're there.
Yeah. And I
they
like
need to
what
know
you
you
said,
exist.
because I think a lot of people think that, when they think about a numbers game, they're thinking dialing for dollars. But what you're doing different is you're actually going out where the car is, where the people are, and you're making a person to person connection. And I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of value in making that person to person connection, because people want to do business with people that they know and trust. And by going out to where they are and able to actually talk about their car right there on the spot, you're automatically building a trust and a relationship with them that's going to steamroll into the future.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's your personality too, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to smile, man. You have to be genuine. Be genuine, be trans. Don't be fake, man. Don't be who you're not.
Yeah.
Be genuine, be transparent. I'm a car guy. I love cars, man. I love every car, and I get a little focused nowadays on, like, I wanted uh, with a Panamera four-door Porsche. I hunted one of those, right, and finally got one in. And it's funny because the ones I hunted didn't come in, but one of my customers actually knew a guy and sent him in, and we did his Panamera, and I was so excited. I was like, boom, got one. Next goal, Bugatti. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anybody has,
Wow.
but it's like a
part of a
Jaguars. I love
stalker,
Jaguars.
He's the car
I
He's the
am,
car
man.
stalker. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I stalk these dudes. I'm like this little guy right here, man. Like Danny Coker. I just pull people over.
Well, what's interesting about that is you talk about making yourself famous or just getting your name out there. Once you understand what that kind of means, it was hilarious. Jody and I laughed about it. So we were very fortunate enough last year to be involved in Air Force One with Renny, Diane, and PNS and everybody up there in Seattle, and it was a fantastic experience. And we really immersed ourselves in it. I mean, head first, dove in, and so just out of sheer luck, the guy from the Seattle Times walked in to take pictures and interview people, and he grabbed me and one of the Ryans, and so my name ends up in the Seattle Times. Fast forward 2 months after the event, I got 2 phone calls in Boise, Idaho to detail people's cars, and I'm a software guy, and I had to tell them, I'm like, I'm a software guy, and they both were like, yeah, but you detailed airplanes. And I'm like, I know, I'm a car guy, but I don't do that for. Here's the name of a guy. And I was texting people, I was calling people. I was like, who's the guy? And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go to Bill the Buff Man. He's right there. He's he's like 6 hours out. I'm trying to find somebody in the IDA that was in Washington that could detail these cars. But it's simply getting your name out there that does that. I mean, it starts a buzz.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's getting your name out. So a lot of what I see happen is exactly what Levi had. I didn't hear it, but I heard about it. What Levi had talked about. Don't market to detailers. They're not your market. And when people they invite me to like their Facebook page or whatever, I'll go like it, but I won't follow it because I'm not your market, man.
Yeah.
I'm not. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. But anyway. One of the things that's interesting that you said there, you mentioned the IDA.
Yep.
And I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit because I feel it's an important issue to talk about. And I in no way, shape, or form, get paid from them or anything like that to do this. But I do talk about the IDA with detailers. I did this up in where were we? Orlando.
Yeah.
Up in Orlando, I talked about the IDA a little bit, and you see people kind of bash the IDA on Facebook, or they talk about things like, oh, well, it's not advanced, or what do you mean by advanced? You know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by joining an association? You're not trying to accomplish getting your name out there. That's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
What you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to accomplish a network of people. So when I joined the IDA back in January of 2016, it was January 1st of 2016, I joined at the advice, of course, of Diane. She had talked to me about, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that, hey, I'm looking for networking. I'm looking to learn, and I'm looking to, not only take my business, but my life to a different level. There's got to be people out there that are succeeding because I didn't know anybody,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I'm just this little dude from Albuquerque, and I still am. I'm just this dude, I had a guy come in a couple of days ago, and he's in my shop. He's just staring at me. I'm like, hey, how's it going? you here to get a quote on your vehicle? He goes, no, man, I'm actually talking to you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, man, I'm actually talking to a real life detailed mafia member. I started laughing. I'm like, hey man, we're just ordinary dudes, man. We're just ordinary guys, man. Nothing special. You know, I mean, do we have a lot of pull? Yeah, but it's we're just ordinary dudes, man. You know, how can I help you? He wants to start a detailing shop. Um, we talked a little bit, but I talked about the IDA. Here's the thing with the IDA. You hear people say on the IDA, it's not what the IDA can do for you, it's what you can do for the IDA.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some truth to that, but when people are looking for something like an association to join, they are actually seeking what that association can do for them, right? There's got to be a benefit.
Sure. Yeah.
And so the benefit behind that is number one, it's a network of people that are wanting this industry to become something bigger than what it is, and they're like-minded. You know,
Yeah.
do we all see eye to eye? Absolutely not. You get 300 people in a room, some people are going to butt heads, right? It's not going to always be, a bucket of cherries, but what you have is you have a network of people that you can reach out to. You have a network of people that have the same goal, the same mission as you, and we help each other along, right? So the resources that are available to you, monthly webinars, archived webinars, you've got people that you can reach out to, their phone numbers are listed. That's how I ended up meeting most of the people that I know.
Right.
And that is, in all honesty, one of the top reasons why my business thrives and why I am where I am today is because I was able to reach out to people that were successful, that were playing the game at a high level through the IDA, reach out to those people and say, hey, listen, this is the problem I'm having.
Yeah.
What's my solution? And they give you that solution. And if you follow it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be successful at it. But it has to be consistent action that you take, not just like, okay, I'm going to do this week, and then next week start something else.
Yeah.
It's got to be consistent. That's what that offers. That's what the IDA can do for you. It can give you an association of people, a network of people that you can reach out to that are playing the game at a high level, and even guys that aren't, that, hey, we can all come together and brainstorm and come across with some ideas that may work for each other. That's what that's all about. Down the road now, you want to give back. And it's all about giving back, right? So down the road, you want to give back. That's why I did the seminar at Mobile Tech Expo, because I wanted to give back to the industry. I wanted to tell my story.
Well, that event specifically was the reason why I wanted to reach out to you, because after your seminar that you gave at Mobile Tech Expo, I cannot tell you how many people walked out of that room and said, wow, that was the best hour that I spent at Mobile Tech Expo. And I think that is a key thing, is that when you are giving back, it not only helps the industry, it helps individuals, but also elevates you as a key player in the industry, and it elevates all people. And I think that's a real critical point. So
Absolutely. We all got to help each other, man. Don't be against each other. Help each other out, man. Stay away from the negativity. Stay away from all. I'm not a part of forums. You invite me to a forum, I'm taking myself right out. And their forums do serve a purpose, and they are good in some ways. But I just don't get involved with them. I don't like them. I don't get involved with them. You never see me in forums. There's only one detailing forum I'm a part of, which is the Detailers Network. Which is our network in the Detail Mafia and the Detailers Network. The guys that aren't Mafia, made men, are a part of what we do. And we treat them just like we treat anybody else. And it's an amazing experience, man. I mean, for me to talk to Diane 6 months in and her to take the time to talk to me made a lasting impression on me. And I made it a goal to go to his class. I went to his class in July of 2018, just 6, 7, 8 months ago. I went to his class, and it's just so valuable. But what I didn't really expect out of that was, it goes beyond just a week of training. You get to learn from some really, really solid people, and it doesn't just take your business to a new level. You own your business, you own your own success. And I think that's what a lot of people do these days, is they want people to make them successful, right? Oh, I'm going to hang out with this guy because they're going to make me successful. Going to detailing success doesn't make me successful. I own that. I'm
Yeah.
responsible for my own success. What it's done is it's taken not only my business, my lifestyle, but my relationships to a new level. I've learned, to develop some really solid relationships with some people out there that are just, not only killing it in their industry, but killing it in their lives, man.
Yeah.
Doing what's important to them.
Yeah,
So that's important.
yeah, that's really the key. And it's funny because a lot of people call us sometimes, and they'll say, "Hey, Jody, we're looking at you guys' software, but we're also looking at this software to run our business." And I always get down to the question, tell me what you want to accomplish, because there are scenarios, hands down, that we think there's another software that might be a better fit. In fact, Rod actually walked somebody down to a competitor's booth and said, "Look, I think you're a better fit for them." And it's really about being a good neighbor within an industry and trying to make sure that all people are successful, because there's plenty of room for everybody in all markets to be strategic. But to your point, if you're not elevating your own game as an individual, you have to own that success. You own the company, but you have to own your own personal success, and surrounding yourself and with positive people and networking with strong individuals will help you improve your game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's about the people you surround yourself with, man. You really become who you surround yourself with, and if you surround yourself with a bunch of complainers, guess what you're going to be? You're going to be a complainer, right?
Yeah.
You surround yourself to people that are taking their business, their lifestyle to a different level. You're going to take your lifestyle, your business to a different level, man. I mean, I don't want to talk to the guy, in all honesty, and we'll talk monetary here. I don't want to, hang out and talk and get advice from the guy making five or even six figures, man. I want to talk to the guy making $1 billion, right?
Exactly.
If I want to get to $1 million, guess who I'm going to talk to? I'm going to talk to a millionaire.
Exactly.
How did you get there? What did you do? What advice can you give me in my industry that can take it to? And it's amazing that business on its own is not discriminatory.
No.
You can take mentors from outside of your specific industry
Mm-hmm.
and learn from them and adapt that to what you are doing.
Yeah.
And so it's not just talking to Renny, it's not just talking to even you guys. I mean, you guys have built something amazing. It's talking to people out there that are making it, man. Go to your local real estate company, the biggest real estate company in your area, and you talk to the guy that owns that real estate company. Yeah, and you'll be surprised that they will actually sit down and talk with you.
Yeah.
I had lunch with I called one up and said, "Hey, remember I invited you to lunch?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Let's do it. I told you I wanted to have lunch with you, and I tell you why. I want to pick your brain."
Yeah.
We went and had lunch, had great conversation, man. And he hooked me up with some people, and you learn off of these guys, man. What that hustle, man, the real estate company. If you want to hustle, you learn from one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's hustle. That's grinding. That's real grinding right there. That's real. If you want to learn how to do anything, talk to a person who's successful at it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, really.
I love that. So go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I was just going to key off of that. Is I belong to here in town, we belong to the Chamber of Commerce, and we go into it with a different attitude. We don't go into it like there's these leads groups. I don't go into there thinking somebody's going to pass me a lead. I go in there to have a relationship with these people and learn what their business does, specifically because they're not my industry. There's a real estate guy in there that's super successful. There's a guy that's involved in a nonprofit there, and they got to hustle with that nonprofit. He's got to really work, and they're great people to mentor with and get advice from, and learn with them because they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna help elevate your business. And if I'm just following around every other software company and, like you said, trying to go, oh well, this guy's at $100 an hour, this guy's at 50, well I'm coming in at 75. That's not going to make it. You got to do something different.
Nah, you do, and that. So what that is doing is that's the age-old thing of being competitive.
Yeah.
I want to compete with everybody. How do I compete? I I take what's the lowest and the highest and meet them in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, competition's unhealthy, man. You don't want to compete, you want to crush, right? You want to
Yep.
dominate your market. And when you're
Exactly.
dominating your market, it's a whole different ballpark. And then once you get to that point where you're dominating, it's all about staying there, man, because you can get relaxed. And I've
Yeah.
done this, man, where I got relaxed. I'm like, okay, cool. Everything's just coming through. I'm gonna kick back. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna chill out. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just tanks. and then you realize, like, hey, man, you know, when you get to that point, you got to stay there. You got to continuously do things and come up with ideas that are going to help you stay there, right? Because
Yep.
everything has to be fresh, man. I talked to a guy yesterday. We did a mastermind call. God, I can't remember his name for the life. I'm horrible with names. But you know, it was Peter Voog. It was part of the Game Changers Academy. Peter Voog did a live. We do these once a month, and you know, I asked the question, hey, you know, this is the problem I'm having in my area. Is 6 months ago there's 136 detailers out here.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's almost 1,300 to this day, and they just keep coming up. They keep coming. It's like you opened up like one of those little. I hate to give this analogy, but you open up a manhole cover and all the cockroaches come out, man. They're just everywhere, just running everywhere. I was like, oh my God, you know what's and so what happens is when you saturate the market like that, it devalues it.
Yeah.
So they're competing with each other at $60 to $90 for full details. Now the average price is about $50 to $60. There's even a guy out here doing it for $12.50.
Oh man.
I'm like, dude, like you, and there's guys that came aboard like 2 years ago that saw what I was doing and said, oh man, I can do that, you know, and they came out and they just kind of went full bore, but they're charging low prices and now they're selling their businesses, they're closing their businesses, and there's just not anything that was sustainable with that. So you watch this happen. I've never watched it happen to this degree. And I say, you know, with the saturation of the market out there, I mean, I know I play in a different ballpark and in a different game, but with the saturation that's out there, you know, what can I do to make sure that I'm not a statistic, you know?
Right,
and he
right.
says, man, you know, you really just got to do some value added services, man.
Yeah,
you know,
we
talked about value added services. I'm like, man, that's what I kind of let go of a little bit. So now it's about, you know, what can I do to add value to the services that I'm already doing, you know, and that's where you make your money.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we ought to really schedule a second one of these Facebook Lives. So because I'd really like to hone in on that topic. I think there's a whole, you know, discussion that we could have about competition, pricing, you know, marketing yourself against competition or with competition, with the mindset that, you know, I can be in a market, I can dominate a market, but I also have to figure out ways to protect my market, because I keep thinking of playing King of the Hill. You know, you get, as a kid, you're on top of the hill and everybody's scrapping to get you off the top, right? And so you have to develop strategies to protect that. So, and I know we've gone a little bit long, and dude, we could keep going. I've loved this conversation, and I would love to schedule for a round two. But first of all, thank you for joining us. And two, how do people find you so that we can, you know, get people to come to Art of Detail?
Okay, I am in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My address is 5901 4th Street Northwest. If you're in Albuquerque, I am 3 blocks north of Montano. My phone number is 505-948-9457. You can reach me there. You can stop in. My doors are open. My doors are never locked. I welcome everybody to come in. Even if you just want to chat, come in. You know, and I'm also available online at artofdetail.net. So probably the best place to go initially to look at what I have to offer compared to what other people do is my website.
Yeah, and let's emphasize that. That is artofdetail.net. So
.net, correct.
Yeah, so make sure you guys know that. Thanks again, Art. We appreciate you joining us. And guys,
thank you.
Really, you need to get engaged in the IDA, other networks. You need to, if you want to elevate your business, you need to get engaged. And thank you very much, Art. You guys have a fantastic day. And we will catch you guys next week for another episode of Mafia Memoirs.